Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
Just 20 to go, Andrea.
To
when we get to 200. We're 180 today. So how do you get a question in for this one and for future ones?
Well, follow along on Instagram at
Sorry, you can't get them in for this one. They're already in. For future ones, how do you get them in?
Follow along on Instagram at Motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out asking for questions. Once we gather them, the post is deleted and we start the show.
Time now for questions, coffee, and cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
What happens if there's an embargo and you post something you shouldn't? Are you excommunicated? Do they punish you and lock you up in a car with extra black plastic, no buttons, and weird door handles? That's exactly what they do. They get us in a car full of piano black and then I lose my mind. No.
Fingerprints everywhere. It has happened. We have broken embargo.
By accident.
By accident, twice to the same company. Ford Motor Company. Years ago, before Andrea was doing the videos with me, I drove the Ranger. I think it was the Ranger. And no, it was the Ford F-150. And I totally botched the time it was supposed to go out. And then recently, what was the car?
It was the Ford Expedition. It was the unveiling of it, like a first look video. And Ford said, this is the embargo time. And what ended up happening is we mixed up Eastern and Pacific.
It was
AM versus PM.
So it had to go out at 5 p.m. Pacific time, and we put it out at 5 a.m. And the only good thing was, and we were on the road somewhere in a hotel. And we were on a different time zone. So we woke up to all of these text messages
from Ford PR.
And for Ford, they're like, well, you've broken the embargo. So we brought down the video.
You got to bring down the video right away, right away when you get the message. They're not impressed by us. But I did speak to Ford at the Vancouver Auto Show, which was after the whole Expedition
the expedition.
And I apologized again, and they were like, that's okay, we understand it was a mistake. I mean, it was obvious because the embargo was at 5 p.m. and we put it out at 5 a.m. so they knew that it was just a mistake.
Okay, so just to quickly explain, an embargo is placed on showing a new vehicle, like last week was the RAV4, and if you go to the event and you're allowed to shoot footage and talk about it and all that kind of stuff, you agree. And you actually say, we agree to this time, this date for the embargo. And accidents happen for the not the Forerunner, the Tacoma. We were in Hawaii for Tacoma and someone broke the embargo. It does happen.
We were still filming the Tacoma.
We were still
filming. All the videos
went out
that people had they had the opportunity to film before us, already went out. And we were like,
we had to finish filming. Then we had to drive 40 minutes to the hotel. Then Zork had to quickly edit it. So we lost probably 3 hour head start.
Maybe 4 hours.
4 hours.
We were
and
pissed.
All the other videos, and Tacoma was a big deal. All the other videos had like a 3-4 hour head start. Then we put ours out. I ended up doing okay in the long run, but it's a crazy racket that we're in. And you go and you say, yeah, we agree. And mistakes happen. So on behalf of the Motormouth YouTube channel to the Ford Motor Company, we apologize.
Yeah, Ford was really good about it, I have to say. PR team was really good about it. And these things can happen. People have done it before. You've got to take the video down ASAP. But I do like the fact that you said they put you in a car with piano black. I think that's just so cute.
By the way, both of them were my fault. Because I'm the one who schedules the videos, and I hit AM instead. I put 5. So 5 o'clock. I go, that's the time, but it was the wrong one. It was AM versus.
He doesn't know this, but before we hit the road and all these videos are scheduled, he's just finding out now.
Andrea goes and checks them.
I go and check them.
And the other thing now is
and make sure they're okay.
All the videos,
mistakes happen. It's
all the videos that are scheduled to go out, I have a copy now on a hard drive that I bring with.
Happy almost summer. I know. Doesn't it feel good? We've had amazing weather in Vancouver. Don't want to jinx it. Question about when you two go to the unveiling of new vehicles, to the lineup or redesign. For example, your recent trip to Toyota. You get invited, and then once you get there, do you have a set time frame with the vehicle to record everything? Don't know if you can talk about the process, but I'm dying to know what the day looks like. Well,
before you jump in, I just want to say the amount of time we get with the car is very limited. Like in some situations, it's 30 minutes.
Sometimes it's 20 minutes. Like, we have to get in the vehicle and we have to produce content. And it can be tricky at times. We always get it to you, don't we? But yeah, the way it works is that you would get a time slot, let's say on a new vehicle, and you go in at that time. You know that you've got 20 minutes or you've got 30 minutes to produce content, and then you move on from there. Now, the Toyota event specifically, when you saw our Corolla Cross video and our Camry, what else? BZ, those were all outside, and it was kind of a free-for-all when you wanted to review them. So that's really great about Toyota and Texas, is that it's their headquarters, and they put all of their vehicles outside, so you can really drill down on some of the 2026 models.
But that was after the fact. The cars had been revealed and all that kind of stuff. The stuff that's like top secret, like the RAV4, for example, each outlet, whether it's a big YouTube channel like Motormouth or the others, or it's Car and Driver, Road and Track, or whomever, they all get a set time. You go in, and then the thing that's what you don't realize is you have a half an hour at the vehicle. We've got to do all of our talking, and we have to film the vehicle. So it's really quick, and sometimes you leave and you get back and you start editing. Oh man, I forgot that shot. I should have done that shot. But anyway, you make the what's that? Make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. You make the most out of it.
For sure.
And we just do the best we can, and so that's all we can do.
And we're not complaining, because having access to a model that's brand new like that is absolutely amazing. So we push forward with it, whether we get 20 minutes or we get 30 minutes with the vehicle. That's just the way it is. We're going to produce content and we're going to get it to you.
All right, so just to wrap this up quickly, not everybody gets that, okay?
No.
So at the Toyota cavalcade of cars, I called it, there was probably 200 to 300 people there.
Yeah.
Everybody in the auto industry was there, for the journalists and influencers and all those kinds of people. Not everybody got the access to the vehicle in advance. So we're very fortunate that we're included in that kind of a list of people that get to go and do that. So that's very nice. And thank you, Toyota Canada, for arranging that.
And other manufacturers, you know, many will do the same. And so we thank you for it, because it's a great opportunity for us to show you content first. Why don't Chinese car companies like BYD sell their cars in Canada? Is it purely because of tariffs and or regulations? Chinese car brands are releasing amazing vehicles. If we had them in Canada, it would push the other boring giants to step it up over here. Any insights on this? Thank you. Love the show. Here's something funny. When this question came in yesterday, we were grabbing a coffee and one of our viewers was there. And I love the channel. So nice to meet you guys. He asked the same question.
Yeah, and he had looked like his girlfriend there, or a date or whatever. And he has a brand new 2025 or 2024 Porsche Cayenne. And then he says, I wish we had the Chinese EVs. Why don't we get the Chinese EVs? And we gave him the answer, because there's 106% tariff on Chinese EVs for Canada, 100% for the United States. And that's to keep them out and stop the competition from eating up the domestic production. And what people don't realize is, for every job there is in the auto industry, there's 9 to 10 ancillary jobs, dealerships, distribution, parts, all of that kind of stuff, people who make parts for cars. So it's a massive industry. For example, in Canada, oil and gas is our #1 export. #2 is automobiles. So it's massive for the industry. So it's a protectionist measure.
And also, we were talking about regulations as well. I can't answer that 100%, but I would think that the cars would probably have to add some features to, due to regulations here in North America, let's say. He also said another comment that I thought was quite interesting, and I'll share with you guys. He said, okay, but what if a brand like BYD came and they charged as much as a Porsche, let's say? So
can I tell my question?
Yeah, but let me just finish. Yeah. And then I thought, okay, well, that's interesting, because in his mind, he thinks that BYD designs are incredible. he really likes what they're putting forward. And so he said, what if they were the same price as some of these other EVs?
And then I looked at the woman who was with him, I'm assuming it's his girlfriend, and I said, would you rather drive in a Porsche Cayenne or a BYD? And without missing a beat, she said, Porsche. Because, duh. But that's the whole game, is people want to have these cheap EVs. We're seeing it happen in Europe, that the Chinese EVs are decimating certain brands. We're seeing it in Australia. Australia EV, Chinese cheap EVs are taking over there, and that's one of the issues. They're going to eventually make it here. How it happens, I'm not sure, but they can't keep them out forever. But this tariff is how they're doing it right now. Do you know the number one selling, this is what I read. I hope it's right, because I read it on a trustworthy outlet. They said the number one selling EV in Europe is the EV3 from Kia.
Interesting.
Because it's priced to compete with the Chinese brands. It's a brand that people, I guess, have more trust in than some of the new Chinese brands. And it's really well thought out.
Another one that's been popular in Europe is the Volvo EX30 because it's priced so well there. And it's cute as a button, really. I actually really like that vehicle. It's just too expensive here.
And it's made in China.
And I think that's the other part of this equation is here. I'll give you another example. VinFast is here. They're priced either more in some cases, depending on the model you choose, or equivalent to models like Kia and Hyundai. But people might have, or Toyota, I'm just listing off a few EV dominant companies.
Well, you missed Tesla. But
and Tesla, okay, Tesla. These are well known in the market. People know about them, maybe have confidence in them. With VinFast, for example, it's a newer brand. It's a newer company, although in Vietnam, VinFast is huge there. It's not so much here. So I think that people end up putting their money where they have confidence in the brand that's been around for a while. 2016 Civic EXL owner. I like the pep and nimbleness, but am wanting something more comfortable. Seats, noise, vibration, harshness, armrests, etc. for road trips for me and my wife. Immediate thoughts are maybe a Camry or a Buick Envision. Do you have any recommendations?
Best value proposition for a mid-size car is easily Camry. Like, I'm not sure if you're in Canada and the United States, if you get a Canadian base model, which is the SE, it comes stacked with features and it's comfortable, very fuel efficient. So that would be my pick.
I think if you're looking at a road trip as well for fuel economy, you're going to find it with the Camry. Toyota did a really nice job on that vehicle, and they've added a nightshade edition for 2026. But hey, the Buick Envision is no slack. Zach and I both really liked it. It's an SUV. You may enjoy the comfort level in that Buick.
Sitting
definitely.
Yeah, you sit up higher.
Yeah, you sit up higher. Buick definitely tuned that for comfort. So, you know, it's tough to say. I think that the Buick is probably easier to get in and out of if you're an older couple. But I didn't find that the Camry sat too low to the ground either.
You got to go try them, see what you like. I think that the long proposition for overall cost of ownership, it's hands down Camry. You're going to get amazing fuel economy and resale value. You can get it with the all-wheel drive, which is what I would do anyway, just because for resale it'll be the one that people want. So so there you go. I vote for Camry. There you go.
Is it true that the X3 will likely be the last new BMW with the dial controller? I used to think it was a pointless feature because of the touchscreen, but man, I don't think I can live without it anymore. Even if it takes a lot of turning and clicking, I can get around the screen without having to look. You know what, that's so true. A lot of people will complain about Mazda and how it's got the controller at the center dial, but you can still use the screen now as a touch screen on some trims, not all trims at times. But people would complain about it, but now as companies are eliminating it, people are saying they want it back. So I think that's kind of interesting.
The X5 still has it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it might be one of those, if you like a BMW with a control wheel, get it now before they eliminate it. Here's the thing. I'm not sure if you're aware, but in Europe, the safety regulator has said that there's too much stuff in screens, and certain key controls have to be put back into switches and buttons, which is maybe why the head of BMW Interiors said maybe 2 years ago, before this announcement was made, they probably were given the heads up it's coming. He said, I think we've reached peak screen. And I think we're going to see, we went way too far that way. With certain brands putting everything in the screen. And now we're seeing a march kind of back to the middle. I think the Korean brands do a really nice job of allowing you to have the big screens, but also buttons for all the stuff you use on a regular basis. And I'm hoping that BMW will go back to that.
Yeah, we hope they will. I'm not crazy about the interior design of the new BMWs. It's kind of disappointing in my opinion, more hard plastic. It just feels a little bit too much BMW logoed on the interior, and then all that ambient lighting. I don't know. I just like something that's more of a classic look. And that's what BMW used to offer. And you even look at their exterior designs, and some may like them, some may not, but even their lights. Zach and I saw a 5 Series wagon yesterday, the new one, and we were kind of like, gosh, I really love that traditional BMW feel.
M5 in gray. Saw it from the back and I'm like, man, that's ugly.
Yeah.
You know, just before we left the house, I looked it up on the analytics on YouTube from a Questions Coffee and Cars from about 6 weeks ago. And I saw our audience, 50% of the audience that watches these is not subscribed.
Crazy.
And I know a lot of you come back, which means you watch, but you're not subscribed. So the single best thing you could do to help us is just hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, and the tricky thing is with Google, as you guys all know, when you watch a video from a channel, then you're fed other videos from that channel, but sometimes you don't subscribe. So it does help us a lot. Congrats on the 400,000 subs.
Nice.
It felt like just yesterday when you were at 250,000. So true. What's the next goal? $500,000.
Yeah, 500,000.
Yeah, 500,000. But I like saying 500,000 because that sounds really good. Given all of your recent travels, have you or your colleagues taken the opportunity to ask manufacturers if their location build strategy is already changing related to the uncertainty of tariffs? Actually, we talk to them all the time about that as we're on these trips. We kind of grill them. And you know, they're actually pretty open about it, and they say, look, it's just going to be status quo. We're not going to react to the market because being reactive is not beneficial to us. We need to take our time, play it out, analyze the market, and go from there.
So the head, the top person at Toyota in USA, that he basically came out and gave a speech just before they showed some vehicles last week. And they talked about the 11 production facilities they have in the United States. There's one in Canada, which is actually 2, but they combine it as into 1. And then a couple in Mexico. And then afterwards, he gave a high-level thing saying they're not going to react, as Andrea mentioned. And then we had a chance to speak to Scott McKenzie, who is the PR rep for the factory in Canada where they make the RAV4, the NX, the RX, and then import them into the United States or export them to the United States. And I said, is there going to be production shifted around? You know what he said?
What?
We have no production capacity.
That's the problem.
Toyota factories in North America, including Canada, US, and Mexico, they're all going flat out.
Yeah.
So they can't exactly move production to the US because then they'd have to move production of something out. There's just no room. It's like when you have, you know, a big tub and you fill it with water, there's no more water to put in it. It just starts overflowing. So they make about 50% of the vehicles for the US market are made in the US.
Yeah.
Then they import a big chunk on top of that from Canada and Mexico, and then the rest come from Japan.
Well, the demand is so high for Toyota models, and in particular, the RAV4 hybrid, that if you're already at max capacity at a plant, where do you go? How do you pivot so quickly?
I know what Trump would say, build a new factory in America. That's what he would say. And you know what? They probably will eventually have to add capacity. Where they do it is going to be up to a whole bunch of factors, including supply chains, parts suppliers, distribution, all of those kinds of things. The vast majority of the production is in the U.S. And then supplemented by other areas.
And Ford's raised their prices recently as well, just to deal with the tariffs. I really enjoyed the video about the new Tiguan, and it left me in doubt about which car to buy. I was thinking about the Kia Sportage gas model, but with the new Tiguan, I'm really interested in it. I'd like to know your opinion on which of the two would have better handling and performance. Reliability isn't a problem for me since I like to buy a car without worrying about it having issues. Well, I think this is a great comment, because if reliability is number one on your list, then we always talk about Volkswagen, and they do struggle with reliability, dependability issues. This is what I would do. First off, Volkswagen did a terrific job with the Tiguan. There is a more powerful turbo coming. And honestly, that's the one I would wait for.
It's not long. It's going to be a 2026 model. And typically they switch over their production for September, so they'll be coming probably in October. So yeah, if you wanted to get, it would be easy for me to answer this question. I would say get it if you don't care about reliability. It's going to be under warranty, all those kinds of things. I would get the Tiguan with the 268 horsepower engine, the top spec, and just enjoy the beautiful interior. It looks great. It's one of those vehicles, though, Andrea. I'm just going to say one weird thing about this car. Then I said when we were shooting it, the front of it, it's got this big open front. And it would actually, it's not very often I will say this, it will actually look better with a license plate in the bottom of it. It would help anchor that big open mouth. So I think a license plate in the middle might actually make it look better. It's one of those weird ones that's kind of counterintuitive. I don't know, but what's the Sportage is what they said?
Yeah, I mean, the gas model, look, we like the Sportage, but it's just not as powerful. So for me, I feel like I would just wait for the Tiguan. The vehicle I would buy for the Sportage is the hybrid. That's my favorite out of the lineup. It's so quiet, it's comfortable, it's smooth, it has enough power. That's the one that I really like a lot. The CVT gets such a bad rep. How come? Why was it even made? And if you own one, how do you handle and maintain it?
Well, we have a CVT in our Honda Civic, and Andrew and I have both been driving it recently. Our oldest son, if you know from the Motor Mouth Bros, is getting his license. So we've been out driving with him, and then we'll drop him at work, for example, and then drive it home. It's a great car. It's a great city car. And the CVT doesn't come into play except on the highway. It's a bit of a sludge on the highway. So the very first CVT I remember driving was, wait for it, this is a flashback from the 90s, the Subaru Justy.
Wow.
With a CVT. I'm here to tell you, friends, this is where I came up with the line. You could get out and run faster. It was so slow. I remember I went out with David Kay, our voice guy that goes, time now for questions, coffee, and cars. And I just happened to have that at a press car, and he got in it. And the two of us, like in this little tiny car, and it was so slow. So slow.
So some people hate it. They will never buy a vehicle with one. Some don't even know if it has one or doesn't have one. I'm also going to talk a little bit about a dual clutch transmission, which the Taos used to have. And when people got in it, they didn't quite understand what a dual clutch was, and they hated it because it felt jerky, or they were at a stop sign, and before they, took off, it started to
roll back a bit,
backwards. Yeah. Anyway, they wanted just a plain automatic transmission, which Volkswagen brought. But I think that it has a bad rep. First off, Nissan had a lot of problems with it, and that poor brand is still plagued by it. But they do it for fuel economy. That's really the main reason for having a CVT. And I think that some people who know what it is and get in it and don't like it, they won't buy one. But I think most people don't care. And I took Jack to work yesterday. He drove to work, went downtown, parallel parked, super smooth. I actually like the Civic, and I think Honda makes a good CVT.
Okay, so we've talked to many manufacturers about this, and we talk about CVTs, and their research from their buyers is they just don't care.
Nope.
Enthusiasts care, but average consumers don't. Look at Subaru, for example. They've had, speaking of the Justy, by the way, that was a long time ago. Things have gotten much better.
Yeah.
CVTs have gotten so good now. I think the Kia Hyundai CVT they use in some of their vehicles is very sharp. Subaru has what they used to call a high torque CVT. They use it in WRX. They used to have it in the Forester Turbo, and they were very good. So the feedback from the manufacturers is it's not a reason to not buy the car. Like they just don't hear that. And you see Subaru sells more cars every year than they did the year before. People just don't care that much.
I have to say though, when a premium or luxury brand uses a CVT like Infiniti, Acura with the ADX, even though people just don't care, I like to see premium brands use an automatic transmission.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
I agree. I think for mainline cars, it's fine. For luxury or premium cars, they should steer clear of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we're at question 180. If I wanted to get a question in for 181, how do you get it in?
Follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out asking for questions. Once we gather the questions, the post is deleted and we start the show.